Welcome to my Disney's Christmas Carol review. I just wanted to do the whole look wheel by the fireplace, so it's a little different. But anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, as I said, I am reviewing Disney's Christmas Carol, starring Jim Carrey. Now, we have had many versions of the Christmas Carol. My personal favorite is Scrooge. It's a pretty old one. Its effects are pretty outdated, but it was always my favorite. Now, there's the question: why remake A Christmas Carol when it's been made so many times? Well, I think the answer for this movie is to make it in a way that nobody else has made it before. Now, for all the other movies, the effects were really second-rate. But in this movie, effects take center stage since it is an animated motion capture type film. Now, our movie starts with Ebenezer Scrooge signing the death certificate of Jacob Marley. I must say that I forgot that this is Jim Carrey doing this role 5 minutes in. I had to keep on reminding myself, oh, that's Jim Carrey. It's Jim Carrey. Oh, that's Jim Carrey. I just had to keep on reminding myself that. He did the first scenes that you see Scrooge in. He has to pay money to, to bury Jacob Marley, and he reaches into a pouch, takes a coin, and he's so reluctant to give up one coin of his money. So he puts it in the hand of the guy, and the guy goes, that's not enough. And so he takes out another coin, puts it in his hands, and then before the guy can put the lid on the coffin, he's like, hey, he says, don't, and he takes the tuppence that were placed on his eyes that he was going to be buried with, and he says, tuppence. And he walks away, and he has a nice, cold, chilly Ebenezer Scrooge feel to it. One thing that I don't think they did that well was the Cratchit. Not just Bob Cratchit, but his entire family. The guy that got to do Tiny Tim barely said a word, and his voice was annoying, so it was probably good that he didn't say that much. But I don't think they did the Cratchit family that well. Bob Cratchit barely said even a single word in The Office. He just mumbled a lot. There's just a lot of things that have been better in the older film. The one thing that this film can do that none of the others can is bring you the entire scope. There are scenes in here that you see in this movie that you would never see anywhere in any live action movie. Like, it goes from Scrooge to overview of the city, then it goes through the city to the mayor's house or the royal family's dinner banquet that they're preparing, and then it goes over and it flies basically all over town and through Christmas trees, and it's a nice shot. It gives you get the whole scope of it that you couldn't get in the past films. The scene with Jacob Marley when he comes back as a ghost, in every Christmas Carol when I was a kid, every time that creeped me out. Every time, from Disney's Christmas Carol, even though it was goofy in Disney's Christmas Carol, it still creeped me out. Even though it was every time when I was a kid, when I watched that in any Scrooge movie, it creeped me out. And I was watching all night, this isn't going to scare me. And I jumped not once, but twice. This film, I wouldn't say is for kids. I would say maybe 14 and up, 13, 14 and up. As long as they're watching it with their parents, they should be good. Maybe 12 as well. Maybe 12, as long as they're watching it with their parents. The Ghost of Jacob Marley was alright. He was pretty creepy. He did it. I think it was Gary Oldman that did the voice of it, and I think he did a pretty good job. If it was him, I know he was in the movie. He might have did Bob Cratchit though. So anyway, the first ghost that you see is almost like a candle. By the way, Jim Carrey also did all the other ghosts, all the other ghosts as well. Well, the two ghosts, since one ghost doesn't say a word. Anyway, it's almost like a candle, the first ghost. And I saw a previous Scrooge movie where the guy had that cap and Scrooge placed it over him, but it didn't make any sense to me until I saw this, where he's basically a candle, you know, and you put that top over the head to put the candle out. So I was a little weirded out since Jim Carrey was doing this kind of Scottish accent in a whispery, raspy voice. But it was alright, I didn't mind it. The animation style here is done so well that there was a scene in it when we go to Scrooge's school and we see him sitting alone in the classroom. That scene looks so real. The entire movie's in 3D, and I did see it with my 3D shades. And the thing I like about this is that, for the most part, when I've seen 3D movies, it does a whole lot of things just for the 3D effect. What I mean is, like, maybe they'll throw a frisbee at the camera, and just so you can see the frisbee coming out. Or they'll do some things like that, but they don't do that with this, and it's pretty good that they don't, since it would probably take away from the story. The second ghost, I like the way they did it. They in the other stories of Scrooge, he does it basically the same as he did with as the Ghost of Christmas Past. The Ghost of Christmas Present, however, they don't leave the room. The room moves. It's in a way where he can see through the floor, and the room just like flies above, and we get another 3D flying over shot, and that's where he visits all these locations, and he can see everyone. The animation style on the guy was pretty well done, but I think they left out a crucial line that he says. He says, "The Son of Man does not live in every man's heart just once a time a year, but all year round." That was always a special line in The Christmas Carol, and the fact that they didn't put it in there wasn't good. But they've kept all the other popular and lines that have been in every movie, like "Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?" In the original Christmas Carol, you see the scene where the Ghost of Christmas Present puts aside his robe, and there are two children. He says, the boy is ignorance, the girl is want. You know, beware them boys, but most of all, beware this boy. I never really got that scene until this movie, because he does that, and these children grow up before his eyes, and the boy grows up, and he's in a cage, and he's a criminal, and he has a knife, and he's trying to stab. The girl grows up, and she's a prostitute, and she's trying to seduce Scrooge, and then she gets put into an insane asylum, and, you know, all the while you're here, are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? It was a pretty powerful scene. And in the other movies, the Ghost of Christmas Present just fades away, because that's how he dies in those. He just fades away because, you know, the spirit's life falls short. In this, they actually went the extra mile and had him go on the ground, and his body turns pale, and then it turns to a skeleton, and it blows away to dust. The last ghost, the Ghost of Christmas Future, I've never been satisfied with in any Christmas Carol movie. Mostly because, like, in the Muppets Christmas Carol, they had the right idea, but the only thing is, in the Muppets Christmas Carol, he had a long neck and a little round hole, and that was his face. With Scrooge, with the Christmas Carol, the one that I always see, it was basically a cloak, and all you could see was this white hand that would point. This, he was basically a shadow on the wall for most of it. It was just a shadow on the wall, and rarely he came out in the end, but when he did came out, it had a really good look to him. They handled things pretty well in the Ghost of Christmas Future, except for one scene. There's a scene where Scrooge starts getting chased by these black horses in carriage, and it really made no sense to me. And what's worse though, since it's supposed to be a serious scene, they start playing it for laughs, where he shrinks down to a little guy and he's supposed to I'm back. Anyway, this is a good movie. It has its flaws, but it has a good view. If they were to make the Christmas Carol, this was the way to do it for this time of year. I mean, this day and age, where it's all digital and you can get the full scope of the story. Remember, I'm LazyDude99. If I don't like it, it's not worth it.